Been doing a lot to clean up the cars. The 97 GT turned out really nice. I got a new polisher for it. I'll talk about that later. Got the Cobra out to go to a car meet. And I've been working on the Silver GT a lot, and the other two have just been sitting there being garage queens. But what I really wanted to do was get to cleaning up this Silver GT, and even small things like cleaning up the grill. Some people don't like this grill, but I really like it. It reminds me of when the grill came out in '99. I've always liked it and thought that it was a nice piece on the front of the car, so I wanted to clean it up, and I decided to use a microfiber towel, and I had one of these head bolts from the engines that I've been pulling apart lately, and I always want to find a use for these, but I never have anything that I can think of besides using them to help pull the engine out. So I um, put some Armor All on a microfiber and used the rod bolt to stick in there and clean out each of these honeycomb crevices. Now there are other products like Back to Black and things that can clean this out really well and hold a better shine, but my object in this was just to clean up the grill because it was really dirty from the car sitting for a couple of years. And so I went through and did all that, and I think it turned out pretty good. I mean, like I said, when it dries it might not look as good as when it's wet with the Armor All, but it was just something that I really wanted to do. And I did the top surface too on the intake of the hood scoop. So drove the car to work and parked there next to Danny Johnson with our two GTs with bullet wheels. Pretty cool. Then I went to the DMV and I had a big struggle there. Uh, the lady was giving me a real hard time about the title because I actually purchased the car from the power of attorney, which was a family member, because the person who owned the car was in jail out of the country, and they decided to sell the car off to pay to get him out of jail and everything. And being that it had a locked up engine, it wasn't really worth that much. So it was kind of an issue. And I did take pictures of all of the documents from the power of attorney, and I had to have those sent to me while I was there at the DMV, and it was actually kind of a big ordeal, but it bothered me because I went in there with everything that I thought I needed, and the lady was just real rude about um, you know, not even explaining anything. She was just like, "Where's your power of attorney?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about? I have everything signed here." And then she's like, "You'll have to leave," which really sucks because you have to make an appointment at the DMV now. So it's something I had to take time off of work for to go down there. And she was really hard to work with, but I said, "Well, can I just have the pictures of the power of attorney documents emailed to me, and I'll show them to you, or I can email them to the DMV," which we ended up doing, and she printed them off. But she could have been a lot nicer about it, you know. And yeah, sometimes I just feel like the people who work at the DMV really um, don't want to help you very much, at least around here. It just seems like they're not very happy people, and they want to give you a hard time. I thought it was pretty funny too because the lady had this sloth character on her desk, which is from one of the newer animation movies, and it's like it really felt like that because she took her time and left the desk and made me wait and everything. But anyway, I finally got the title and registration and new license plates for the car, and the other lady at the DMV helped me. She turned me over to someone else, and she was very helpful. So I brought my tools and everything. I was able to put the license plates on the car right there in the parking lot because I didn't want to get in any trouble. I did put insurance on the car before I drove it over there, so everything worked out right. Now, addressing some things, I noticed that the license plate bulbs were both dead on this car, and these plastic housings break really easy anyway and ruin bulbs, but I was able to get a bulb that I had left over from when I swapped to LED bulbs for my Bullet. And I kept this whole box of little bulbs from instrument clusters and dome lights and things when I swapped everything to LEDs. So I had a lot of things in here that were very useful. I like holding on to stuff like that. And one of those was a dome light. This little LED dome light was red and you could hardly see anything with it. And so I had an original dome light, like I said, because I swapped to LEDs on my Bullet. So it was really nice to pop that in and have a nice working dome light. And just fixing up little tiny things on the car like that are always fun, and I really enjoy that I have a whole bunch of these parts from over the years from keeping them. So if you also noticed in the previous videos, the interior of this car is very nice, but it was missing a dash vent. It was all busted up. And I see a lot of Mustangs with these broken, which I understand if people put stuff in the front seat or transport stuff, it can break, but I've never broken one. But I had this radio bezel that had this ugly switch on it from my Red Mach 1, and I noticed that the vent is actually the same as the ones that are in the center. So I cleaned out the vent area with a microfiber towel just to get all the dust out of there. And I know you're never going to get everything, but if I have something apart like this, I like to clean it up. And so I cleaned that out with a microfiber, and I very gently transferred the vent from the bezel here over, and these just pop out easy. On each side there are two little half moon shape rings that you push on right there. See, they just pop out, and then the new one pops right in, when you install it. So I also cleaned the vent that I took out just to make sure that I was doing a thorough job. You can see my new Steeda floor mats. I took those out of the other GT since I'm daily driving this one more now. And so that's something else that I'll show later. But that all worked out nicely, and that is the right one, and it does pop in, and it does look a little more black, and I've had comments before, but I think they're all kind of a black color. Now the next thing I noticed was the seat belt is not retracting, and so I pulled the whole assembly out and found it was really wadded over itself, and I spent a good 2 hours trying to untangle this. I was really frustrated, and so luckily I finally got to the point where I realized it'd be easier to just buy a seatbelt from another car or a new one, and those seatbelts are $220 or so for a new one, and I didn't know they were that expensive. But they also said something about being 03 and 04 specific, so I found this GT being parted out that had a seatbelt, and the guy was really nice to sell me the seatbelt for $30 and ship it to me. It was really sad to see the car like this being parted out, and he later told me that it was just because the engine locked up. And to me, I mean, this is exactly what I just did with my silver GT. I saved the car just because it needed an engine replacement, and here's a nice car that's being parted out because of that. So I did benefit from it by getting a seat belt, but I'm tempted to go buy this car and put it back together. But anyway, it came quickly, and he sent me a couple other little things that I needed to, that I'll show you here. But I was able to get all these pieces out, and I've been driving the car with the interior torn apart now for the last couple days while this came. But I was very happy to get these parts and excited to get the car back together so my wife can drive it to work, because I want her to drive it too and enjoy it. So here's the new seat belt, and it's not perfect, and these seat belts have problems with retracting perfectly, but this one works, so I'm very happy about that. So here I had to continue to take out the rest of the old one, which is anchored on the bottom here, and it has a big Torx bit too, which is, I'd say, the number one reason people don't like replacing these, are just because of the big Torx bits on those. But anyway, I did install the new seatbelt, and this little piece was missing, and he was nice enough to send that with the seatbelt, and that's something that shows the previous owner was trying to work on it, but they didn't get very far. So there it is, all installed, and that seatbelt works now, so I can take passengers for rides in the car. And here's the old one, and like I said, it was all wadded up and knotted, and I really tried to untangle it, but it was just so tight in there. I think the last person really yanked on it and pulled on it to try to get it to untangle, because it was just destroyed. And once I took it apart, little springs came out of here, and it just was a safety issue. So this vent was missing as well, and the guy parting out the car was nice enough to send it to me and give me that too. And it really makes a huge difference, because when you're getting in the car, you see this vent missing, it looks real trashy. So it was really nice of him to send me that. So I wanted to be real careful putting this in without breaking it, which is why I didn't record it very well. I'm sorry, but there it is, all nice in there and intact. And if you look over now, you can see the whole thing looks great. There's the Steeda floor mats. I think those look good in the car. And here's the new vent on the passenger side. I didn't really record it very well, so I decided to make a better video real quick and show it in the new vent here. So like I said, my wife drove the car to work tonight. I was really excited about that. So that's the update for the 03 GT, and next update is going to be really fun. I'm painting the side scoops, and I'm really excited about that. That's something I've wanted to do since I bought the car, so stay tuned for more of the updates on this car and my other stories, and thanks for watching.